Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Virche. I'm like, what are we playing right now? My brain wanted to say 9-rip, but I'm like, that's not right. That's not what we're playing right now. We're playing more Virche Fandisk. Ow, you're the one who wanted me to pay you. Good lord. You are getting very weird in your third age. I don't even know what to call it. I can't say your middle age or your old age. You're not old. You're still baby. But I don't know why 10 for you is all of a sudden the feisty age. Because you're very bitey lately. I know you got pin peppers. Which is always going to be a problem perpetually for you. Because you won't let me get them out and you don't have a bird friend. But you get very bitey, and now you're getting very crazy, jumping all over my fucking table, knocking over things. Why you getting so feisty? You getting grouchy? Is this your bitchy teenage years? Are these your fucking bitchy teenage years? We'd have to go through the terrible twos, and now we gotta go through bitchy teenager? You're not even a teen bird! But you only live like 30 years, so I guess 10 is your bitchy teen phase. You're grouchy. Bitchy. Not gonna do what you say, mommy! Brat. Anyway. Back with Mathis. Right. He was stabbing prostitutes because, like, we're sure Jamil, I forgot, Jamil, downloaded some. I'm sorry, were you waiting 3 whole fucking parts for me to, like, remember our fucking name that we gave for the last game? I remembered On Coffee, but I didn't remember Jamil. Guys. Somewhere in the back of my mind I knew, but it just never felt like the time. To be fair, it's really not the time because he hasn't come out as Camille yet in this, but it doesn't make a difference. I was calling On Coffee that before, so whatever. God, everything is tangled up, guys. Why? Anyway. Yes, so we're back with Math. Not doing good right now. This is a train wreck. Anyway, he was stabbing a prostitute because, probably dumped a serial killer in him. And is it the real Mathis? Is it a clone? Who knows? We'll find that out. Yes, it's just like the stomach of a pretty girl like you. The voice in my mind asking who, and another inner voice asking why, collided with each other and created a gasp too quiet to be a scream. As I stood there in shock, the man in front of me smirked, pulled out a dagger, and held it up as he stared at me. I was going to be stabbed. Even though I knew that, my body was too frozen in place to move. The next thing I heard was the air being cut. This would really suck if this were like the ending. We just ended the other part in 2 minutes and she stabs and dies and you're like, again, I highly doubt it because that is, I knew that these were supposed to be a little like, bittersweet and sad or whatever, heavy, but I didn't think they were going to be that bad. And now we're dead. Wait a minute. That's not at all what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting sunshine and rainbows. Deep down inside, sort of still, yes, even though I know it's not going to happen. But I wasn't expecting. Can't possibly be. Anyway. Mathis quickly dodged it. A flying blade, or rather a slender sword, struck the wall behind him and fell to the ground. Eve? Yep. Spacey, are you okay? Eve rushed over, quickly picking his sword back up and standing in front of me. I'll see the deliverer. I can't believe he's committing the crime right in the middle of... He couldn't even finish his sentence. Do they not realize who it is? Shh. Eve was speechless after looking at the deliverer, the cloaked man in front of him. On the other hand, Mathis's face twisted more and more with each passing moment. I was going to say, can they not tell? I'm assuming Eve wasn't paying attention. He's like, is that the Whoa, wait a minute. And then noticed, but... Damn it. She looks so nice to tear apart, too. And now I can't take out the beautiful flower in her stomach. He stamped his feet on the ground like a child and screamed. Man tantrum. Mathis? Hearing myself, finally, I was able to admit to myself that the person I cherished most in the world committed the horrific crime I saw in front of me. Even though I didn't want to. You're the one who killed the prostitutes? You're the deliverer? Yeah, that's right. Everyone was tricked by that idiotic rumor. They're all stupid. Although, to be fair, it's like, I can't believe, for a hot second, my brain was like, how the hell are we going to believe this? And then I went, actually, it is quite believable, because you want to be like, how are we believing that Mathis would be the one to do this? But, original Mathis, normal Mathis, yeah, no, if you went to the switch. But then he started getting a little psycho, and then Lucas being like, yeah, you could have split personalities, and you're like, huh. So then this doesn't seem as far-fetched. But also, if you stopped and you were like, but what's the logic for right, trying to bring his brother back. You know what I mean? Like, you could, like, somebody could be like, oh, he was probably doing it trying to bring Camille back. And you're like, yeah, you know, that could make sense. And everyone would buy it. So it's like, he's a really good scapegoat, actually. See? Pretty, aren't they? This is for the collection I'm gathering. These flowers blooming from the bellies of women. He said that he wants to carve out ours like we're pregnant, and like, I'm pretty sure I haven't had sex with anyone on this route. He smiled and held up something red and black as if to present it to us. Please, that's just gross. Oh God, don't do a... Okay, thank God. I'm like, it's a flashback, right? Well, people who are being targeted are women with a high possibility of being pregnant. Which means... the deliverer's trying to make a homunculus with embryonic cells? Has. I mean, yes, trying to, if you're pretending it's Mathis. And that assumption was correct. I felt nausea and hatred build up inside me in response, along with despair. You tricked us all this time and pretended to chase after the deliverer and Boro. Think whatever you want. No matter what you come up with, you're still gonna try and kill or capture me, right? Eve might have assumed talking things through wasn't gonna work, as he readied his sword again. Mathis held up his dagger as well, gazing at Eve as if eyeing his prey. Even though I wasn't used to fighting at all, I still felt that the tension in the air could burst into bloodshed at any moment. Mathis's face turned pale at the sound of several footsteps from around the corner. Reinforcements, huh? Still not satisfied. I can't get caught here. In an attempt to flee, Mathis's feet moved toward a separate alleyway. Reach out a hand, call out to him. I don't think we should reach out a hand. We're going to get bitten off. I think we should call out to him. Yeah, okay. However, right before he could take a step to run off... Wait! I called out to him. The novel! Aren't you going to read the rest of the novel? The girl trying in vain. Together? With me? What are you talking about? The only joy I know is cutting open women and using the flowers I take from them as decoration. That's a flaw in the logic right there. Well, okay. That is... like... I know why they... I don't think it's like the writing. Like, oh, the writers did a flaw. No. I think that's a flaw in Jamil and what he did here. Because we called him and they knew about the homunculus and we kind of already told him that. So when he's inputting a killer into Mathis or the Mathis clone, whichever, I don't know. You know what I mean? He would have been like, instead of like, I want to decorate with these fetuses. So disgusting. That is not like I like taking their ears or a bone or a finger. That is just so much more disturbing. This is highly like, I'm gonna vomit. Okay, gross. But you know what I mean? I'm talking about decorating with their... internal organs. Oh, I'm gonna throw up. It's like right there that you'd be like, wait a minute, he said that, but we know that that's not why he's doing it, so why would he say that? And that should be some kind of an indication that something's wrong here. You know what I mean? I have no interest in anything else. Also, that. So then it's like, wait a minute. Because even when he was losing his mind and he kind of was like split personality Mathis, he was still interested in the novel and he's still kind of, yeah, I'll kill you if you get in my way, but like, whatever, I guess you can come with me. And like, he wasn't totally hostile. He was like 85 to 90% hostile to you, but there was a little bit where he would like give you a little leeway, like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Sure, would he have probably stabbed us? Maybe. But, and like, this is a complete snap, like a complete break, a completely different. So it should flag, like, wait a minute, even when Mathis was being evil Mathis, or this is evil Mathis, when Mathis was being jackass Mathis, there was still a few redeeming qualities of original Mathis somewhere in there deep down inside, and this seems totally out of character where, you know what I mean? Where they should, but again, Luke is saying, oh, some people just have split personalities or whatever. You could be like, oh yeah, no, he's on a psychotic break. He's fully gone. But I feel like she'd be like, no, something's wrong here. Because of what he said and the way he's acting. It's not him. You know what I mean? Mathis didn't give me an answer. He simply turned away from us in silence. Wait! Eve tried to chase after him, but he was too late. Mathis slipped through the small opening in a nearby wall and vanished. I didn't even know how much time had passed since then. Adolphe and everyone from the Corps arrived and secured the boy who was sitting on the ground. They brought him to their base. But everyone was speechless at the corpse with its innards torn out, as well as the identity of the one who committed the act. Sorry, Bird. I was trying to adjust my leg, but I didn't mean... I know, I touched your tail. I'm sorry, and that got you all concocted, huh? You can come back. I'm not grabbing your tail, I'm sorry, I was just moving my leg. And your tail was in the way. And so I touched your tail. I know I touched your tail. It's very offensive. I'm very sorry. I wasn't trying to touch your butt. I wasn't grabbing your tail or nothing. It's very sorry. I'm just going to put my hand back down right here in case you want to come snug. I know you do. I see you. There you go. Of course, I couldn't stay silent about this with someone else. No. After I retrieved him from detainment, he shook me off and ran. I wondered what on earth could have happened. Master. My master is the deliverer? That's impossible. Are you sure it isn't someone else? Jean denied the claim with all his strength as he struck the guest table. Such brilliant acting! But... I know how you feel, but even Spacey saw the scene of the crime clearly. And it seemed like Mathis took a part of the victim's body with him. Jean's like, really? Good for him, because I'm going to need that later. Jean! I rushed over and supported Jean, who seemed like he was about to fall to his knees. He's doing brilliant acting, though. You gotta give it to the man. At the very least, the Deliverer isn't Mathis's normal self. What a horrible persona within him. I think so, too. Because Mathis honestly believed in the existence of the Deliverer and Boro. Well, I have to say, I don't think his obsession with revenge was an act. If that's the case, Mathis himself wouldn't even dream that he'd be the Deliverer. See, they caught on. Sorta. Not exactly, but they got something. You know, they're sussing something out. Then, the Master isn't accountable for this crime, right? Jean raised his voice as he pleaded. The one who killed the prostitute was his persona as the Deliverer. My Master, as he normally is, would be innocent, so... Even so... It's still a fact that he committed a crime. Adolphe's like, that's not how it works. I mean, yeah, in modern times, maybe you could do it in a sanity defense, but you're going to get locked up in a sanitarium or some shit. So, but this day and age, you're like, I don't think that's going to fly. Adolphe spoke in a firm voice in response to Jean's hopeful pleas, but this is exactly how Jean should act, so smart. And there was a victim. So long as there's clear evidence that he was the killer, we can't consider him innocent.
The Corps has a duty to capture him so that he can be punished accordingly. Yeah, and you can't tell each persona apart just by looking. That logic wouldn't work against the royal family or the guard.
I imagine asking for extenuating circumstances would be difficult, too.
No. I knew all too well that what Jean was feeling. Why is this happening? That wasn't Mathis. He's normally the most gentle person who just loves stories. I thought that was the only thing that wouldn't change about him, even if his personality might get rough at times. For now, Spacey, Jean, you two should get some rest. Especially you, Spacey. You saw a pretty gruesome sight. I didn't even see it, and I think I want to vomit and I need some rest.
Yeah, you should go back to the orphanage and have Sister Salome take care of you.
All right. I'll take you there. To be honest, I'd like to stay the night too, but I've got to look for Mathis. Thanks, but please don't worry about me. You all have a job you need to do. So that Mathis doesn't commit any further crimes. All right. Don't think about this too much. It's going to be pretty fucking impossible. I understand the sentiment, Adolphe, but that's a pretty stupid thing to say. Adolphe brought me to the orphanage. Mother was waiting outside in the garden, worried that I had returned so late. She saw my miserable expression, and after preparing some more milk, listened to what had happened. Hello? There you go. I'm like, where the hell is Salome? Come on. I see. I'm sure I've read the same records of multiple personalities as Monsieur Proust. But Mathis's case seems so unnatural, as though he sometimes does or doesn't have memories of the past. Does that mean his persona as the deliverer is something completely separate from him? Well, more so that his deliverer persona appeared far more abruptly. It seems he doesn't have any memory of the novel he wrote with you. That's true. I never felt even a fragment of that persona from Mathis. See, they're cluing in. They ain't stupid. We're a little naive and innocent, but we kind of pick up on things. But as Adolphe said, no matter what reasoning anyone might come up with, it's still a fact that Mathis's body committed that crime. If Mathis's original persona comes back to him, can you imagine telling original Mathis, oh God, yeah, I'm shy and awkward and I hide in the attic of my entire mansion. I'm locking myself in the attic. You murdered people. You should have seen yourself with glee whipping around innards and stuff. He would have been he would literally, you know what? He would fall down, break his fucking skull open and die. He wouldn't survive you telling him. He would literally not be able to handle that. What could I possibly say to him? Also, then you put him in prison with actual criminals? Poor boy, ain't never coming out. Setting down her own cup of milk, Mother looked straight at me. Okay, so, we definitely, I think chapter 3 was most of what was basically the same. Even though, again, there were little bits and pieces that were different. And maybe it's some of the stuff, I don't remember when we hit chapter 4 and what was different. But, this is obviously vastly different now. So, okay. I can't begrudge that they did the amount of rehashing that they did, because they're setting up a very vastly different kind of ending path. All right. So I can appreciate that. And the amount of an hour or two of the same stuff we've already read before isn't really bad when you think of, well, they're setting this up, so they kind of have to start it at a reasonable place, and so it's not like we're jumping into math and you're like, whoa, what the fuck happened? Where are we? What's going on? You know what I mean? They kind of started off and you're like, okay. And they give you, and you're like, all right. I think I remember some of this. And again, if you read it directly after reading the first one, it might have been a lot more annoying because you'd have been like, I read all of this shit before. But for me, having a couple months in between anyway, and at least one game in between, possibly 2. I think we had 2 games in between here. It's, it's been a while, so I'm I needed the refresher, and I don't actually mind it. Although, to be fair, yeah, you're giving us other endings that are also as depressing as the original one. So, did we need to I mean, I get it. You're not going to go from like Virche where you're like, here's the game and it's kind of depressing as fuck. Don't expect anybody to make it out of here happy. And then you're going to do a fan disc where everything's like light and fluffy and adorable. That really wouldn't fit the vibe, so I can't begrudge it. You know what I mean? Even though I want to desperately, I want to be like, no, can we just have light fluffy? And they're like, it's not what we do here. No, anyway. Setting down her cup of milk. Mother looked straight at me. I think I read that. Spacey, I've wanted to ask you this for some time. What do you feel toward Mathis when you're worrying about him? Is he really only a friend to you? Well, unable to answer her right away, I looked down at my cup. I thought so until a little while ago. I think it's a bit different now. Mathis always cherished the time he spent with me. Even in his obsession for revenge, each Mathis that shows me his gentle smile are all precious to me. I will say we get a lot of CG flashbacks. Well, now we're getting a new CG flashback, but we get a lot of flashbacks to the first game, which is nice, because then you kind of get to relive. You're like, okay, cool. But I think we've only gotten one, maybe, did we get a second one? Because we had this one, and I can't remember if we got another one. We don't get, maybe most of them, well, it does look like you get some inside stories. I just noticed Mathis's first two CGs can be unlocked by playing the side stories, which I'm assuming are in the interlude section. So I'm thinking maybe in the encore there aren't as many CGs because they're more mixed into the interlude stuff, which is a little bit slice of life fluffy side stories, and then maybe in the emotion section. You know what I mean? Because this is sort of what you already did, but a new ending for it. I don't know. I want to get back my life with him, with them, where we just peacefully write stories together. That's all I wished for. Them? You mean the two Mathises, or you mean Mathis and Jean? I suddenly realized, with this terribly unfair reality put in front of me, as if my heart was broken, tears were shed from my eyes. Why is all this happening? Is it because I was the one who came to Mathis's death? Is that why he's suddenly been possessed by some demon? And that I can't say for sure is not the case. Mother stood up and came around the table. She hugged me as tightly as she could. You're a precious daughter of mine. I'm sure to Mathis you were simply a kind, ordinary girl who read novels with him. Did we ever notice her liver markers across her chest like that? Because I don't know if I ever noticed that. Because you can see it in her nightgown. Don't know if I ever knew that. Mother, but I know it hurts, but this isn't your fault. This is a problem of Mathis's that he needs to face himself. Don't take that opportunity away from him by blaming yourself. I nodded as I wiped the tears away. That was right. No matter what excuses I made, there was no changing the fact that he committed these terrible acts. Instead of looking away, telling myself that it wasn't Mathis, I have to face him. Yeah, I think this is going to end up with Mathis getting beheaded. In one night, the Deliverer's description was shared throughout the Corps, the Institute, security, and the Royal Guard. Wanted notices were put up describing him as a murderer who only targeted women. He's adorable and docile. Well, looks it. Oh, it's going to be interesting. Now we Jamil now. Phew. I managed to trick them. So long as the Deliverer made an appearance on the stage. I was certain that even Cyan Brofis would stop his investigation of the past and go after Mathis, the Deliverer. Hold on, my fucking phone. Don't know what that number is, so we're ignoring. Sorry, bird. I was trying not to disturb you, but my phone gets really annoying when it's ringing. A Capucine and a supporter must be rewriting the visitor logs at the Institute now, so that it looks like Mathis visited. Still, I'm surprised the memories, persona, and even the bloodthirst as a fabricated deliverer were implemented so well. I suppose my experiments really have been a success. All I had left to do was carry out the final procedure once everything's settled down. Then the Rosalie I love, the Rosalie who loves me, will come back. I was so happy I could cry. I'd finally be able to fulfill my promise from back then and make her happy. Yes, I will.
Is it odd that you want there's a part of me that wants to see this end to go so like it always goes bad for us and Mathis or whatever, but like because the original game had that ending where Jamil put the Camille persona into Mathis, and then so Mathis was Camille thinking of us as Rosalie, and we're like, yeah, sure, I'll just go with it. And we just kind of dealt with it, knowing that Mathis might be in there somewhere, and it was like, oh, that's kind of tragically beautiful. Like, okay. But like, there's a part of me that's like, so like, if this goes bad for us and like Matha and whatever, but like, you kind of want Jean to be happy with Rosalie at the end, and then you're like, I mean, it's a happy ending for someone, not just us, just not us. You know what I mean? Like, why do I want that? Because like, there's something wrong about it. You know what I mean? You're like, if if you take a step back before you knew all the horrible things Jean was doing, if he was like, I just want to bring her back, he'd be like, I hope you can. That'd be so great, right? Yes, he's doing horrible things, but there's still a like, I think that's what makes it like it would be so good is like, it's tragic for us and it's tragic for Mathis. And like, what the fuck, you bastard? You get to be happy after all the horrible things you did, but that's what makes it good. Because you're like, oh, they're happy together. And that's kind of fucked up. Wait a minute. Why am I happy for this fucker? You know? But like, but you want to be happy for, like, like there's just something wrong about it. There's something wrong about it. You wouldn't help it. You'd be like, yeah, this is not a, wait, I'm confused why I enjoy this ending when he did horrible things to Mathis. Mathis suffered and then either went to jail or was murdered over it or whatever. And then I'm pining away and all sad and whatever. And then you get a happy ending. But I think that's what would make it so good. Talk about that wouldn't even be bittersweet. That'd just be kind of bitter, but it'd be kind of awesome at the same time. Because you get your happiness. You're like, somebody's happy. It's just the wrong person. So that makes me mad. I don't know. If they're going to torture me like that. That's the kind of torture I want, I guess. I don't know. You know? It's kind of like when you get angsty endings and you're like, oh, the endings are so traumatic and angsty, but you love them anyway. Even though they're not happy. But you're happy about being, like, tormented. That's kind of what I want. I'd be happy about being tormented like that. Anyway. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rosalie. I think it's funny that he's remembering this, but it's question mark because he wasn't Jean at the time. You and our future child. I'll make sure we become a happy family. It is very I mean, because we know, but you know from the first game, but you don't know in this one. But I like how they put the question marks like, Jean is remembering this, and he's remembering saying that to Rosalie, and you're like, but it's odd that it's question marks. I think that is a flashback I think that happened in the original game, though. I would make sure she was happy. If only he didn't need to be sacrificed. I could have at least introduced him to Rosalie upon her revival, even though I have no other use for him. Why did I even hesitate? That specimen was meant to be thrown away. Oh, you've grown attached. Everything I do is meant for Rosalie. Nothing else could ever move my heart. Nothing ever. Are you going to grow a conscience about what you're doing? Oh, I wonder are we Deliverer Mathis? Psycho Mathis? Is good Mathis trapped in here? It wasn't enough. Not enough. It wasn't enough at all. No, this is Psycho Mathis. I want to kill more women. The sensation of cutting through soft flesh. The warmth of the organs taken out of their stomachs. This is really like a lot. All of it. I need it so badly.
My aroused emotions took over my memories. I could remember even now. My mother, who was a prostitute, blamed me for the state of her life. I like that Jean put in a backstory. I'm sure it wasn't. It was actually probably somebody's data that was in the thing, and they're like, perfect! Or he created it. I don't know how you did it. Did you piece together people to make the perfect deliverer? Because again, you did not have a lot of time to do that. So one, if you just dug through the data that you had that was stolen from Cyan, right? And you were like, oh, this guy would work. And you slapped him in. Good for you, because you did your research and you found the perfect persona. Okay. Also, how did you have time to do that between getting the call from us and then sending Mathis out with this persona in him? Just saying. Just saying, it doesn't seem like time-wise you had enough time. But, like, we're going to just, again, pretend that logical logic doesn't logic. Totally, it's 32 hours. Whatever, you know? But if he didn't, and he crafted the persona with bits and pieces, again, how the fuck did you have the time? But also, bravo. Bravo for putting in the work. You could have just put a psycho murderer in there. But no, you gave him a backstory of his mother who was a prostitute, and that's why he hates prostitutes and goes after them and then kills their unborn children for some fucked up reason. Like, I mean, okay. I see where you're going with this psycho. Okay. And abused me over and over. If it weren't for you, I could still make money. Why did you have to be born? Why do I still have to suffer? Die so that I can be happy again. I didn't know how many times I was hit, yet I still couldn't hate my mother and continued to endure it. As I grew older and my body grew larger, I realized I was a man whose physical strength had surpassed my mother's. It's just funny that Mathis thinks this about himself when you look at him and he's the twinkiest little twink that ever twinked. You know, he's tiny baby. One day, when she came to hit me again. Doesn't mean he can't be strong, but he's the most delicate little flower we got, so. Without hesitating, I killed her with a knife. I didn't care where I struck, so long as I killed her. And the knife simply happened to sink into her stomach. I felt an excitement in me from the emotion and sensation of the experience, which drove me wild. Ah, a woman's stomach. How good it feels when you cut it open. At the same time, I felt as if I also saved my mother. She truly lived a miserable life, crying and screaming. Yet now she was peacefully sleeping. I see. Killing someone is proof of your love for them. To release these women from the pain of living in a world so cruel to them was, to me, the purest form of love. That's even more psychotic. Jesus! I'm gonna need a drink. And that was how I became the deliverer. After that, I sought those same sensations when I pleased, and continued killing prostitutes for 3 years. But there'll be trouble now that I've been seen by the Corps. I should hide and maybe keep myself in the slums. As I was thinking, I saw a number of prostitutes enter an alley. I guess I'll kill a few more before I hide away. Smiling with joy at finding new prey, I moved to go after them. You don't think they're being watched? The novel! Weren't you going to read the rest of the novel? Together with me? For some reason, I didn't have the same urge. Not for that pretty blonde-haired girl. I don't think it would feel as good killing her. That was so strange. It was all fine up until that moment. See, and this is like, okay, so this is very parallel in a way to what happened, again, in the one ending. I don't know if it was the original ending that this one is like, you know what I'm overlapping, you know what I mean? But the one where Jean locks him up in the basement. I think that was the main ending or whatever, because Jean had to do that for you to know he was Camille and to reveal all of his stuff, you know. But, and again, I don't remember how many endings there were, but where he basically keeps downloading a new murderer, a new persona, a new hateful person into Mathis, but then original Mathis and his love for us keep coming through. You know what I mean? Because Camille's trying to look for, and he's like, yeah, that's actually helping his experiment. You know what I mean? But this kind of parallels that with original Mathis is kind of somewhere fighting underneath, and that's why this deliverer persona is like, why don't I want to kill her? You know, because timid baby Mathis is in there screaming and crying underneath to get the fuck out, you know? I knew I felt insurmountable pleasure from tearing into a woman's stomach. But I was so fixated on the woman I wasn't able to kill. Well, I'm still gonna kill whoever I come across. Hmm. I think they went a little above and beyond on the violence and the debauchery in this. Like, well, not the good kind of debauchery, but you know what I mean? Like, they went above and beyond with the psycho in this one. They were like, let's do it all. And you're like, yeah, you maybe simmer down. Jesus. The next day, I don't remember the other. I mean, the other one was like a lot. There was a lot going on, but I don't remember. Was it this bit? I mean, I know there was like blood everywhere and murder and whatnot, but like, were they this graphic with that? I don't remember, but like, Jesus. Jesus. There was no news on how Jean or Mathis were doing, and I couldn't help myself. I came to the Claude mansion to find Adolphe and the others there. They're still asking the prostitutes to be alert, but it doesn't seem like they're able to go along with things. And they even told us that if we were gonna force them to stop working, they needed to be compensated. Hugo murmured about how they weren't taking any of this seriously. That said, we can't just sit here waiting for trouble. Mathis's targets are women with a high chance of being pregnant, which includes these prostitutes. Considering that, the Corps is going to be making rounds around the slums and Cheetahs. Still, we're pretty few in number, and they're going to be spots that we just can't cover. If the Royal Guard would cooperate, that would be a big help to us, but... Is the Royal Guard not trying to capture Mathis? The paperwork has been completed, but it seems they simply aren't interested in performing an actual investigation. It seems they refuse to do anything unless a Cheetah's resident is injured. That's expected. Just glad they haven't gotten in our way. Right. I had mixed feelings thinking back to how they treated the prostitutes, but I understood where he was coming from. Of course, we'll be keeping a lookout in Coen as well. But Spacey, don't go outside at night, not even by accident. Looking for Mathis is out of the question, too. He knows us so well. Look at our sweet little Precious. He knows. He's like, God damn it. I see you. I see you still got that pose with the hand up, and then, Uncle's got the hand down, and then you're like, okay, one and the same. It seems the prostitutes are bigger targets, but it doesn't necessarily mean he won't kill any other women. Last night, Mathis was about to kill you, too, just because you're a woman. Right. You can't stop helping out in our... You can stop helping out in our investigation now. Hugo's like, Look at that, Hugo, aren't you being sweet? You're looking out for me. It's because I'm not trying to steal his boyfriend this time. If I were, like, even remotely getting close to Eve at all, he'd be like, I think it's fine. She'll be fine. What are you talking about? No, it's good. If she goes out and gets stabbed, then she won't try to make eyes at you anymore. What? Not let her take you. Listen, there's always a jealous woman who, like, comes after you or whatever, and you're like, why am I gonna have the jealous psycho woman trope, We have that, but it's just Hugo, so it's just kind of a jealous, slightly psycho man, and it's like, alright, I'm here for it. Because Hugo's great and wonderful in every other route, and then you get in Eve's route, and he's just a little over... No, girl, too much into my boyfriend. Well, I stole his boyfriend, to be fair, so... I'm not sure Eve knew what their relationship was, but he'd have figured it out one night. I understand. I'll be sure to let Mother know, too. But would you mind telling me if you learn anything about his whereabouts? Please, let me know as well. All right, We do need someone to help and cheat us, after all. In exchange, promise not to do anything rash, all right?
I will. It would defeat the purpose if I got in everyone's way. Sean, please don't worry too much about this either, okay?
Right. Thank you for your concern.
But, like, I'm wondering if John is like, no, I need to get him first. Because I want to download his memories or whatever, or, you know what I mean? Like, how, does he want to get his hands on Mathis first? Because you think he would have maybe programmed the murderer to show back up at the house or something. I don't know, done a better job. After getting back home, I explained the situation to Mother, warning her not to go out at night. And just in case, we told the children they were prohibited from going into the garden at night as well. Aw, but I love pretending to be an explorer at night. We can't look at the stars either. You can, but from your rooms. This is for your own safety, so could you all bear with it for a short while? No!
Smack! You'll do as I say, motherfuckers!
Listen, we got enough violence in this game. Maybe smack the kid. This was bad. We couldn't tell such young children the gruesome details about the deliverer. There's just someone out there who's hurting people. My, come now. You mustn't trouble her like this. We'd be so sad if something were to happen to any of you. We're just asking you to play inside the house for a while. But you guys need to listen to Mother. All right, Milo. If we switch places with Sis and Mother and something happened to them, we'd be really sad, right? Because you can't go outside, we'll play with you that much more, all right? Okay. We'll be good. The children all quietly nodded. I clicked the button way too fast, but that's okay. I read it before it disappeared. Just as we said, we played for the entire day outside until the sun began to set. By nightfall, my thoughts were taken over by the sight I had seen in the alley. Sorry, I'm tired. I wonder what Mathis is doing right now. Probably stabbing a hooker. Was he just hiding? Or was he attacking another woman? No, if I keep thinking about him, I'll want to go outside. I desperately tried to suppress the urge to go out and look for him. I don't know how well you're going to do that, because if I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure we did a lot of stupid shit in the first game. You know. It would help nothing going outside while defenseless. In fact, I just caused more trouble. I looked over again at the papers of the novel I brought from the mansion. There were so many beautiful words Mathis wrote with me. However, now that he had committed that crime, I might never be able to see what happened next. Still, throwing away this novel was the one thing I couldn't do. Spacey, are you still awake? Mother? I wondered what could be wrong, hearing her panicked voice, and Mother burst through the door. What's the matter? One of the children sleeping in the main room is missing! Oh. Are you still awake? I did her voice calm because I thought she just saw her light on or whatever, but I've looked in the other rooms, the storage room, even the garden, but he isn't anywhere! I could feel my heart freezing over, hearing Mother explain the situation. Stupid asshole! Who's gone missing? Child B? Millie? Is it Millie? You're supposed to, like, it's not Millie, but... Because Millie would be an IE, but I'm assuming you're supposed to be an accent. I don't know, anyway. Remember how upset he looked when we told everyone they could only go outside during the daytime? I hope this isn't the case, but perhaps he went outside the orphanage to explore again. Let's go find him right away. Millie, or whatever, was a boy. It was unlikely he'd be a target for the deliverer. However, he could still be involved in another incident. We had to find him right away. Also, even if it was a little girl that ran outside, she's not old enough to be pregnant, and the deliverer murders pregnant ladies, so. I hurried outside. I hurried and got dressed, and Mother and I rushed outside. I'll look over here, Mother. Please get help from the Corps and that are on patrol. I will. Please don't go into places where there aren't any people. Right. Well, okay, so this isn't really our fault that we went outside stupidly, because we went outside after a stupid kid who's gonna get us killed. Good job, asshole. After parting with Mother, I headed toward a nearby canal. Hope that fucker's drowned. I'm just kidding. Fucking kids. I remembered
I have no idea what his name's supposed to be. Anyway, often played around here. You gotta give us a fucking name. I heard the sound of rocks being kicked from a nearby alley. An alley desperately wanting to be explored by a very curious child. Don't go in! Just, you know what? Let him get stabbed. He'll learn his lesson real fast. Spacey hates kids. Listen, I remember in the first game, Milo, the stupid bastard, but then bad things happened. I'm like, okay, poor Milo doesn't deserve that. You know what I mean? He started coming around. He was a douche canoe in the beginning, but he came around, and we were like, okay, he deserves better than that one ending where all the kids were brutally murdered. Especially poor Girl B. Was it Girl A or Girl B? I can't remember her name. They didn't even give the bitch a name. They didn't even give the poor bitch a name, the one that we took to go see Cyan, and she was all adorable, and like, she was Girl B, right? And then she was brutally murdered? Like, good. This little fuck gets a name, but Girl B didn't get one? Whatever. Rude. Anyway, I think we don't go in. Oh, okay. Okay. Hold on. Wait. Yeah, okay. Oh, there are numbers on the side. I was like, how do I tell what the fuck is going on? I can't see numbers, but now I see the numbers on the side. They're kind of like hidden in the lattice work over there. So we do not go in. Told you, going in gets me murdered. Millet? I called out, but there was no reply. It was possible. I don't know if that's supposed to be with an accent and they didn't put an accent on. But they put it on Arpichel, see, whatever. Anyway. It was possible what's-his-name could be in here, but it was far too dangerous to go alone. I wouldn't be able to defend myself against a thief or anyone else. I'll find someone who can protect me and go in with them. Yeah, because otherwise we're getting stabbed. Watching my surroundings, I went into town. Because the Corps was out on patrol protecting the women, there was no one around. I'm sure I'd just be troubling Adolphe if I called him. But if I approached any of the surrounding houses, people would only fear me as death. Oh, is that you over there? I don't know who's saying that. Oh, Jean. What are you doing in such a place this late at night? Jean! I exclaimed in surprise at the sight of a man I never expected to see in Coen at night. I quickly explained to Jean why I was here. I see. You're trying to find a child from the orphanage. Given the matter with my master, that is worrisome. I feel like Jean's voice is different every single time he shows up. Whatever, I'm sorry. Yes, I just hope he's around the orphanage. So, where are you headed now, Jean? The moment I asked my question, Jean's shoulders stiffened. Looking at his awkward expression gave me a good guess as to what he was doing. Could it be you're looking for Mathis? I suppose it's only obvious. I apologize, especially after Adolphe told us not to do so. He did have a point. I didn't think it was right that we ignored Adolphe's warnings, but you're really worried about Mathis, aren't you? I can understand those feelings at least, so please don't apologize. Thank you very much. Well, I would like to offer something in return. I will help you search for this child. Going into these alleys with someone else is surely safer than going alone. Huh? Are you sure that's all right? Yes, I'm worried for the child as well. In fact, you're doing me a favor by making sure I don't get lost in the dark while searching for my master in this district. I instantly felt how Jean was forcing himself to be strong while encouraging me at the same time. Thank you very much. Then I apologize for the trouble, but I would appreciate your help. Okay, wait. So, like, I was also thinking this in my head, because we already had an ending where Camille's in Mathis's body, whatever. And then before, when I was like, I kind of want to see, like, Jean be happy with fucking Rosalie while everybody else is miserable, right? And part of me was thinking it in my head, and now I'm like, are they leading us to this where, like, okay, he is going to take our body, put Rosalie... Well, he's got her body, though. So, like, how would he do that? You know what I mean? Because he knows that you can't just put any old brain into a body. Because, so I don't know how that would work, because the logic has always at least sort of been the same. But I was like, is he going to dump her personality into my body, and then he and I are together, and like... and then somewhere inside, I'm like, I know I'm not really Rosalie, but I'm also Rosalie, and like, very similar to what happened in that one Mathis ending, but we're with Jean instead, and that's how you get a Jean ending. I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't hate it. It would be kind of fucked up, but I wouldn't hate it. They should have done that as an ending. I don't know. Did I read that? Well, she said, thank you very much. I'd appreciate your help or whatever. But returning back down the deserted road, Jean and I entered the alley together. I quickly looked around, but there was no sign of Millie or whatever his name is. Maybe he isn't here. As I was about to tell Jean we should go search a different alley, thunk, I heard the sound of a blade swinging through the air. Huh? As I turned around, I felt a searing heat from the arm it grazed. And at the same time, warm red blood fell to the ground. It was more of a numbing sensation than pain, and all I could do was grunt. But I didn't have time to think about it. Jean! I could feel myself shouting for Jean to escape when... The shadow that cut my arm knocked me down and pushed me to the ground from above. Found you, Blondie. I felt both joy and despair at reuniting with him here. The eyes of the deliverer were filled with bloodthirst, with no other emotions whatsoever as he held me down. Jean, please get away! Look at the look on this bitch's face right now. He is like, I know I'm enjoying this. I shouted, knowing I couldn't possibly get him involved any further, yet he stood there with a terribly calm look in his eyes. Then slowly, he quietly stood beside the deliverer, as if certain that he wouldn't be killed by him. Jean? Oh, I didn't know you were with her. But I'm not giving her up. Every part of her is mine. Right, I know. Just as promised, I'll lend you my laboratory as a storage space for your collection. And you let me use the embryonic cells you've been collecting. I won't need them after just a few more trials. They were casually conversing like two people who already knew each other. Well, I mean... To be fair, she really shouldn't be... I mean, I can understand her being shocked because Jean put on a good fucking act, right? But then she's like, it's like they know each other, and it's like, well, I mean, Mathis and... Rich dude and his homunculus, but also servant and master. Sure. I mean, like, you should know that they, like, know each other. And you should be like, well, I'm almost not surprised. And maybe you should be like, well, maybe Jean was trying to lure Mathis back with, like, these promises or something, and be like, oh, I get it. But, well, that would be stupid, to be fair. But, like, it's just weirder being like, it's like they know each other. Like, duh. I mean, I guess it's more like the fact that, like, wait a minute, Jean's being so casual with this deliverer personality, like he's spoken to him before he acted like it never happened. And Mathis recognizes Jean before Mathis couldn't recognize anybody that original Mathis ever knew. You know what I mean? I guess that's what it is, but it just still seems weird. Anyway. I lay there speechless, realizing the meaning behind their conversation. Now then. The tip of the knife met my throat, sending a prick of pain from it. Mathis. I knew it. What? Is he blushing? You're just so pretty, and more than anyone I've ever seen before. His eyes even felt sincere somehow as they stared into my face. His face was the same as the person who's always showed himself honestly to the woman named Spacey, Mathis Claude. With his sweet face, he brought his knife high into the air. From every drop of blood to the tips of your nails. I want to love you. The blade, which I thought was held against my neck... Did he just stab Jean? For some reason, sank deep into my leg. Oh, okay. I didn't scream. I was probably more shocked at being alive after having braced myself for death. No, he's just trying to cripple you so you can't run away, because that's healthy. Mathis? It seemed he didn't know why he changed the trajectory of the dagger either, shaking his head as he gazed at his blood-stained hands. But just as a breeze from the open road swept through, spreading the scent of my blood through the alley, Spacey, his face came back to that of Mathis Claude. Okay, interesting. So they are doing a parallel, sort of, where, like, original Mathis always comes through. Like, which is exactly what Jean needs, you know? Huh? Why am I dressed like this? The look in his eyes was one of confusion. Huh? His eyes widened the moment he saw the blood on his hands. Uh, uh... Screaming, Mathis jumped off of me and backed away. Why? I was just trying to avenge my brother. Why is the person most important to me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mathis, calm down. Right now, it's Jean you have to get away from. Ugh! With the dagger still stuck in my leg, I could barely move, much less get closer to Mathis. Oh dear. After all this, he's back to his first persona. Is this supposed to be the power of love? I'm sure you would have been happier staying as the deliverer. He spoke to us. I wholeheartedly welcomed you to the world, deliverer, the mindless killer. You're a criminal to everyone else, but to me, you're my masterpiece, proof of my beloved Rosalie's return. The butler smiled wryly as he spoke his praise. Are we going to end up now kidnapped and in the basement? Somehow? Unable to move my leg, I was forcibly carried by the butler, whose face was now unrecognizable to me. I was taken to a familiar mansion. Okay, so we going back. Long route to get back to where we were. Okay. Into its unfamiliar basement. Welcome. This room is Master Mathis's true room. The homunculus production facility where the murderous deliverer was created. Okay, but now you have to do a different ending and you can't do where you're going to pump him full of stuff because we already did that. Because I thought we were going a different route and then you brought it right back around and it's like, okay, don't do that though. Oh, and ignore the blood. I do clean every day. But because he insists on keeping his collection of women's organs here, I just can't keep up. He was speaking differently now. He sounded like someone Mathis spoke about in his memories. Who are you? Allow me to introduce myself again. He bowed gracefully and gave us his true name. My name is Camille Claude. As the eldest son of the Claude family, lovers of literature, I'm also the creator of the empty homunculus, Mathis Claude. Jean's personality... No, Camille's personality had changed. Mathis shuddered at Camille's words, in particular the word homunculus. No, I did this with my own hands. Now that you mention it, I feel like I've had dreams like this. He was in shock, thinking over whether those dreams were reality. He probably wasn't mistaken. If what Camille was saying was true, Mathis would have been using this room as his base during his activities as the deliverer. As if to prove it. There were traces of blood from where the women were likely still alive all throughout the room. Well, I'm sure through science hints the ever-intelligent Miss Spacey arrived at the truth without my needing to tell her. I mean, you've met them as well, right? A man whose beloved brother was killed by Boro. A man locked in a dark basement abused by his parents. Even a man with erratic behaviors behind the wheel. You've met all these people who have become part of Mathis's memories. So maybe they did tell us that. They said that erratic man. I don't know. Stop. I don't want to hear this. understand all of it. So stop telling me about what's real. Ignoring Mathis's pleas, Camille spoke in a gentle voice that was almost cruel. If you understand, then we need to tell her the truth, don't you think? All of Mathis Claude's memories. I just connected a bunch of memories from different people to form the memory you've got. The sins he committed. The inability to prove he existed as an individual. In response to all these unreasonable circumstances thrust upon him, Mathis was instantly swallowed by insurmountable despair. And that's the perfect place to end it. But we are going to, we'll read the backstory of the Claude family in the next part. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.